Curtain on the idea that so many of the folks in charge know what they're doing. A lot of them aren't even pretending to be in charge.
Well, let's bring in the lady on the right-hand side of the screen is Rachel Campos-Duffy, a frequent friend of ours, a frequent guest on the program. Good to have you back, Rachel. What surprised me there was that was a commencement address. I honestly, in my opinion, I don't think you put that kind of thing into a commencement address. How do you feel?
Well, I think it's wrong. I mean, as you're talking about here with all the business news, what we need is confidence. And the last thing we need is a president. By the way, President Obama didn't respond to the swine flu pandemic for 6 months and after 1,000 people died. So it's kind of rich coming from him to criticize the response of this president. But the last thing we need right now is more people being sour on the economy when we can see that the American people, at least where I'm living right here in the middle of the country, Stuart, are ready to get back to work. They don't want handouts. They don't want government assistance. They want to be financially independent the way they were before the pandemic.
Do you feel that? I mean, you report from the heartland, please, because I saw that on the East Coast. I saw people out and about. They want to get back to work. They want to shop. They want to eat in restaurants. I don't know where exactly you are at the moment, Rachel, but did you feel the same surge? Get me out of the house. Get me back to work?
Absolutely. And I'm also sensing a real frustration about the media, because the media comes out of New York. And what's happening in New York and the way it was handled in New York has nothing to do with how it's happening here. And we talked about it last week, or last time I was on with you, Stuart. I think when this is all over, New York media may be responsible for the death of rural health care, because it is serious what's happening here. And there's absolutely no reason for it. It's like it's almost like a suicide, a national suicide here, or a regional suicide that's totally unnecessary with our health care and with our businesses, which, as you know, in rural America, our economy is much more fragile. We're not going to be able to handle this much longer, and people are itching to get back to work. And frankly, they are. We opened up Wisconsin last week, and you're starting to see a lot of movement.
How about mothers who want their kids to go back to school? I know that you've got 9 children, and I know that President Trump is pushing hard, get those schools open again. But hold on a second, Rachel. The governors, there's a split here. I mean, listen to this.
Schools need to function. They are going to function. It's also going to be somewhat of a hybrid environment, meaning there might be times during the year, if there's an outbreak at a school, that it has to convert to online for a period of weeks until it's reasonably safe to return to school.
But what I've asked the schools to do is to assume they're going back, but to come up with all kinds of alternatives.
I think some schools will not be. Many schools will be, and it's all conditioned.
All right, Rachel, where are you coming from? Getting back to school come what may?
Listen, opening up the economy hinges on being able to open up the schools, because so many parents right now are wanting to shoot their heads off, frankly, because they can't do the homeschooling. Our kids are suffering. You know, kids who have autism, kids who have special needs and learning disabilities, they're not getting that help. And frankly, I can tell you as a mom who's having to do this homeschooling, we're failing. It's not going well. In fact, I saw a headline the other day on Drudge that said, parents giving up on homeschooling. And I thought, yep, I'm one of those. It's hard work to do your work and do homeschooling. And I think that there's no reason why we need a cookie-cutter, one-size-fits-all. We're Americans. We're smart. We can find innovative ways to do this. We can stagger lunches. Frankly, I think it's great that a lot of schools are cleaning up. I mean, I've always been, you know, one of those moms when the kids come home, I'm like, wash your hands right away, even before the pandemic. So let's clean up the schools, maybe stagger lunches, stagger recess, find innovative ways to social distance, but we cannot shut down our schools. We can figure this out. And for those teachers that have morbidities, maybe they can find comorbidities. We can find solutions for teachers who are more susceptible to COVID, but we can't shut down our schools and our economy.
Not forever,
it's ridiculous.
we can't. No, we just can't do that forever, and that's a fact. Rachel Campos-Duffy, thanks for joining us again. Always appreciate it. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Stuart.
Let's get on to Texas, which has reported its